I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
You found my copy of this.
What's that?
All my copies of the agenda.
All right, very good. Roll call, please.
Thank you.
Supervisor Hill,
Here.
Squire,
Here.
trustee Opling.
Here.
Trustee Oppie,
Here.
treasurer Anderson, absent.
He's gonna join us. Are you there? He's gonna join us via Zoom.
He's a little under the weather, didn't want
We
to
didn't
share
share.
what he has with a room full of folks. And
I
so
knew
he's
that on the left.
attending in the Zoom forum. There's no voting this evening, so there's no worries about whether a vote takes place or not for Mr. Anderson as well. This is a public hearing to hear comments from the public on the existing. I'm hearing people are going, they can't hear me. Can you, it is.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello?
Are we good? Not, check.
Battery.
Yeah, but I don't want to eat the mic all night.
Turn it up. Try now.
Just
Test, 1, 2. Better?
use your teacher voice.
I'm just getting like this. I'll try and be a little louder. Although I've never heard anybody ask me to be loud
Right.
before, so. Okay, very good. As I said, this is there is no voting, so Mr. Anderson is tuning in on Zoom to be available, if you will, to listen to everybody's comments this evening, so he's not missing anything. So with that being, oh, there it comes back. There it is. So with that being said, we are on to the portion here where we have an addition or changes to the agenda. The only thing that we have is an addition that the clerk, I've asked her to read orally, she will, in the names of the individuals that sent us communication for us to review that we had asked for ahead of time. So not to review ahead of time for this meeting, but for us to go through and ferret through in their concern. So.
They've been gathered in one place. Easiest, I did have a few, sorry. I did have a few people request that they be read. We had 34 different individuals who corresponded, sometimes more than one email. So I'm not going to take the time from tonight to do that. We have everything in writing. The board will be looking at it between now and the 16th. But if for some reason you think you sent something and your name's not on here, get with me and I'll do my best to see if I missed it or something in an email but okay.
Okay.
I have John and Deb McCourt, Erica and Greg Denton, William, is it Burrell? Can you hear me? There, now we just have to talk right into it. Ethan Brand, Marie Brisboy, Corey Bonsack, Phil Check, Wendy Leopold, Doug and Katie Latner, Dan and Mary Ellen O'Keefe, Greg and Erica Denton, Bill Eisenstein, I don't know if I mutilated that, Anita Merchant, John B. Cook, James H. Fry and family, John and Deb McCourt, Pam Wegner, Rebecca Gibson, Kathy Stevens, Arthur Lubke, Michael and Carrie Nolan, Tammy Nelson, Doug and Allison Thiessen, Matt Howe, Bill and Kathy Jasper, Kevin Wademan, Gary Wolf, Mark and Gail O'Brien, Joseph Poole, Chris and Katrina Hacker, Greg C. Mack, Nancy Schauer, and Ashley Pratt. And I apologize if I mutilated anybody's name.
Okay, very good. For the formality there, that would have been an addition to the agenda. And so I would ask that the board have a motion to accept what is being done here with the names.
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have
I'll
support?
support that.
Support by trustee Oppie. Any further discussion on that, board? Hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. We're on to the special order of the business, which is the public hearing to solicit comments on the Gerrish Township short-term rental ordinance that we have put out there. It's entitled A.4 draft. So that's what you should be looking at or have looked at or perused. Also, just a few little book or little housekeeping issues tonight. This is a public hearing, and there may be some that might dissent with others or disagree. Dissent is one thing, disrespect is another. So let's try and hear each of all of our concerns and everybody's concerns and do it in the most respectful way possible. And as we try and look at this from all different angles and all different sides. It's a difficult subject. And so we appreciate you folks coming out in the rain and likely to be freezing when we're done here tonight for rain. So we hope you all make your trek back safely too. So without further ado, we'd like you to keep those to about 3 minutes. Please, I don't want to keep banging the gavel for more than the 3 minutes. Try and be concise about what you're trying to tell us. And we'll be taking notes as well on this. The board has scheduled a January 16th special meeting, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That is a Friday. And that is where the board will, shall we say, we kind of reflect on everything that you guys have. Then we'll take a look at the verbiage in this ordinance as it is now. And then we will come out on that day at 1 o'clock and start, I guess, quizzing back and forth with each other as to where we're at and having a great discussion on it. There is no pre-planned vote on that day either. This is just a measured process here. I'd like to take and make sure we're dotting I's, crossing the T's. No one is likely to get a piece of everything that it wants with an issue this large, I'm sure. But we've got to start with some basics. So with that being said, if you could raise your hands, those that do want to speak, I will try and start getting around the room. And I've asked the gal that's monitoring our Zoom also, she's asked them to kind of raise their hand, I believe, in the chat section, and we'll try and get them around. So we'll start with Mr. Gamble. Now I want you to come up here. Right up there and try and speak into this microphone just like we are so everybody can hear both on Zoom and here. So Michelle, will you keep track of the 3 minute stuff?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, sir. You have to please give us your name if you
My name is Blair Gamble.
Okay.
I have a place on Higgins Lake Drive. I'm 4th generation up here, actually 5. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
All right.
I can.
All right. Years ago, it was used to back when they were building the 4 Mile Road plant up there for wood and so forth. I mean, make particle wood and so forth. One of my neighbors said, well, hey, maybe you ought to rent your place over the winter to some of these workers. And so I started doing that. And then that kind of dried up and so forth. But you know what was interesting was I was able to take, I place somebody else staying. I think when you invite people to your home as a guest, you always seem to do your best to make sure it looks as nice as it can. So then you're starting. Originally it was kind of a small deal. It was just kind of your home and you took it over. But then again, over time, it seemed to get bigger and bigger. Okay.
We
It
hope.
seemed to get bigger and bigger. And at that time, what happened was it kind of went crazy where it kind of turned into a hotel room type atmosphere in a lot of cases. Okay. So I understand both sides of this argument, but I have been renting my place for, I guess, over 10 years on Airbnb and VRBO. Most of my renters, interestingly, come from family members of other people who have cabins in the area, and they don't have room in their cabins. Or there will be an event up here. It could be Tip-Up Town. Okay, over at Houghton Lake, it could be hunting, it could be cross-country skiing. We had an Olympic skier stay the whole winter at our place so that, we could use Fry's, he could use Fry's place over there. And these are all wonderful things. And, one of the luxuries of this environment here is we don't have a lot of hotels that, have kind of ruined a lake over the years and so forth. But I do understand a concern of where you have somebody who buys 5 cabins and decides that they're going to do a hotel type environment. But that's not what Airbnb and VRBO was made for. What it was made for was for the individual who has a cabin or a home to share their home with someone else and be compensated for it, not get rich, maybe be able to, make it available for them because in our case, we don't even have any hotels to stay in. You either stay at the state park or you better know somebody or you have to own a place. All right. Now that's a luxury of also keeping the lake nice and so forth. But then again, I lived here all my life and I saw places that had not been lived in or used for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And I think all of us know those homes and they're falling down around the edges and so forth. They just look like garbage. All right.
At time, sir.
Pardon me?
We're at time. You're getting close to your time.
Oh, what I want to say is it is an opportunity to share, okay, our lake with these people, all right, to help the people who maybe it would be a little bit easier financially for them. I'm not in that situation, luckily, but I also hear about all these people. It's a little tough on their taxes and so forth.
Yep.
And it would help them dramatically to be able to make ends meet. And as my home was sold as a retirement home. And if you add that to a person who needs it for retirement income, that's a pretty big deal. I just really think it needs to be looked at on an individual basis. I do understand that there are some abuses on this, but to keep it where it is for the individuals who own the place and let them be licensed, let them do this because economically, it's a big deal. We have cleaning people, we have boating, we have skiing, we have snowmobiling. We have all these things, and that money comes from those things. All right.
Okay.
It's very important. So I just really would, I ask for you, our
consider.
council here to actually, look at this full-heartedly, not just from, it always seems to me that there's always somebody who has a lot of money that's on the lake and so forth that goes against something and it gets pushed. And then we may make a decision and it's almost impossible to switch it back. Once we make this decision, it's pretty much for good. It's like, the income tax. When it came in, it was only going to be a temporary thing originally. A lot of people don't realize that. Well,
Yep.
guess what? It's changed a lot over the years.
Yeah, it has.
Okay.
Thank you, Glenn.
So anyway,
All right, I've got to cut you off because
Appreciate it.
if everybody wants to do 5
Yes.
minutes or more, we're going to be here all night.
okay.
Appreciate it, sir.
Amanda,
Thank you.
thank you,
Yeah.
Blair. Carrie Nolan. All right. Carrie, if you can hear me, I will recognize you for the floor. Looks like it's 3 to 5 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Carrie, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm just wanted to reach out and say I did submit stuff in writing, so I'm sure you'll be reading what I commented on in writing.
Yes.
But just to kind of shorten up and give you a quick synopsis, I follow kind of what the gentleman was just saying, that I am a short-term rental owner. I own one little cabin that's 900 square feet, and I recognize the township's need to regulate the short-term rentals, and I've been following along in all the iterations of the drafts, but to see the elimination pop up coming up in a few short years of all licenses in section 5D5 was quite the alarming the read, trying to ban them outright. I just think that it's kind of a rushed and not completely thought through, kind of jammed in their provision right at the end, hoping to maybe get something, over on other people. I think that, like he said, you kind of have to look at it not so arbitrary. You can't just give a sweeping ban to the short-term rentals, especially when you have a township that also shares Higgins Lake. They just met yesterday to discuss their short-term rental ordinance. They don't have an outright ban in there. And so now you're looking at maybe just sending any kind of economic, um, anything economical that you were getting out of short-term rentals, and people will just shift over to Township. So you're just losing money for residents of yours that may not even own short-term rentals. Like he said, we have quite a few people that we employ through management services, cleaning services. We send all of our renters to utilize all of the eateries around the place. And we have people who come out and shovel our snow and keep our cabin looking nice and light up the street, different things that aren't nuisances that actually help the safety. And I just think that a ban, once it's out there, it's hard to take it back, and it might have far more reaching detrimental harm than you guys possibly realize at this moment. And then just also, like he said, there's a lot of, houses that maybe aren't upkept, and people have come in who own short-term rentals and cleaned up any kind of blight in the neighborhood. And I think that people think that we just want to rent our houses out to people who are going to trash it and party. I personally have hundreds of thousands of dollars into a property. I vet all of my renters. So I just think that there's a lot of things in here that that are just too far sweeping. For instance, I don't have an issue with it in my particular rental, but immediate neighbors who are able to just give no consent. So you're giving one property owner more rights than another property owner. You're able to just say, no, you can't have a short-term rental. Well, what makes your property rights more vested than mine? So there's just a lot of things that are incongruent that I think that really need to go through with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that everything's congruent.
Getting
So-
close on time.
Okay,
great.
that was basically all I had to say.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate you attending, and we also did
Appreciate
get
your time.
your written. So thanks much. Let's
Yep.
come back to the
Okay.
room. You know you have another one on Zoom, but I think I'd like to bounce if we can, in all fairness. I'm going to start over on the left-hand side. I'm going, in case you can tell, I'm moving back. I see a young lady over here. If you want to come on up, please state your name, have a seat, and try and speak loud too. As you can see, sometimes these things are a little difficult. No.
Okay.
Just be respectful. That's all the country was built on dissent, not disrespects. I'm good with that.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Okay. I feel like I'm Capitol Hill. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, who
Yeah.
are you?
Okay. Hi, my name is Dana Listerman.
Dana, I'm sorry, what's her last name?
Listerman.
Lister
M-A-N.
or M-A-N. Okay, go
Yep.
ahead, Dana.
Well, thank you for having us all here tonight. I
Absolutely.
think it's very important that we hold this. I'm sure I'm going to do that. Okay. I am also, as I took a couple notes here, as Mr. Blair said, I'm a third generation Higgins Laker. We were up here before the 911 system, so I grew up on First Street, which is now Bittersweet.
I know where that's at.
Yeah, which is now Bittersweet. And I was lucky enough that my grandparents owned a lakefront next to a road end. So my grandma was also one of the people that thought she owned the lake, which was great. But, and then we had the back ladders, so I understand. I moved back to Michigan in August of 2024. I was currently living out of state, but I moved back initially to purchase my uncle's business in the village of Roscommon, which is Green's Tavern. It didn't work out, and that's okay. But I did move to the county. I had kind of retired from my corporate job and didn't really know where to go once I decided not to purchase the tavern, which Green's Tavern is great. You guys should go there. I know it's not, and I got it. Anyway, but when my grandparents actually sold their place on Bittersweet, they ended up renting every summer. Now, this is far, far back before Airbnb, before all this stuff. My current next door neighbor, Miss Lucy, who's wonderful on East Higgins Lake Drive, she also purchased her home over 20 years ago. But again, her family decided to purchase because they came up here and rented cabins. This has been going on for decades. The Airbnb and the short-term rental platforms just made it more visible. I am brand new at this. We just opened up our rental in May. So I was nervous about it. We had a great summer. And I'll tell you what matters the most is that the people who come here and the people that we rent to are the people like me. To have the kids come up and to have the lake. I understand, I agree, and I support the fact that there should be some ordinances. I 100% do. I don't believe that a ban should be one of those until we see data. I would love to know where these decisions are coming from other than just people like my grandma who think they own the lake, which I understand. But there's many short-term owners like myself that, I donate to road ends, the associations, so that we are able to use them. So we do contribute. I do want to quickly, if she's still on, I want to say thank you to Carrie Nolan, who sent out multiple reminders about this meeting to all of us with a vested interest. So thank you, Carrie. But my point really is, and without the time, I talk fast and loud. So what I'd like to do is, I don't know why we're doing this right now. I would love to see or propose some sort of project task team. Let's talk to the realtors. Let's talk to law enforcement. Let's talk to the business owners. Let's see how many people come up here. When I spent a year coming here so that I could purchase Green's Tavern, I stayed in Airbnbs all around Higgins Lake. There might be some owners in this room right now that I stayed with you while I was looking to move here. I understand Higgins Lake and I understand the problems that we have with the sewers and the septics and things like that. Okay. I understand that. But I think we should really look at doing a project task force team to understand the economic value of it, to understand, is there different areas or, how are we even looking at who is a short-term rental? Do you even know as a board here at Gerrish Township who all the short-term rentals are? Right? Okay, I'm at time. That's my proposal. I'd love to talk about it further. This isn't the forum, but I agree on both aspects.
Okay.
Thank you for
Dana.
having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate your words this evening.
Thank you.
Zoom.
Hello.
Tara
Yeah,
Hertwig on Zoom. Are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and you have the floor now, Tara.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Tara, and my family and I are proud homeowners in this community. We purchased our house as a cottage in 2023 as a place for us to enjoy and make memories. We rely on short-term rental income to help with supplementing our mortgage for our home. We're not investors looking to make a profit at the expense of the neighborhood. We're a family who loves this area. One of the reasons we love it here is because of the people. My neighbor truly looks out for us, and we have built a relationship based on respect and trust. I take that commitment very seriously. Our property is not a party house. We don't have huge, large, or disruptive groups that stay there. A lot of the people that stay there are families that are coming there, like other people have said, for meaningful reasons. They visit family who have nearby cottages. They attend weddings at the barn venue, or they come to reconnect with friends who are camping nearby, or just to simply experience the beauty and peace that our lake offers. We take great care of our property, and in doing so, we help raise the standard and the value of the homes around us. Eliminating short-term rentals altogether will not only harm responsible homeowners like us, it could also flood the market with homes that are suddenly up for sale, which risks lowering property values across the township. Short-term rentals also play an essential role in supporting the local economy. Our guests are ones that eat at local restaurants, golf at local courses, attend events at the barn, and visit the Roscommon Zoo and shop at local small-owned businesses. They, support the bowling alleys, the marinas, and the gas stations, and these businesses rely heavily on seasonal visitors, and many cannot afford a reduction in traffic. Tourism is one of the biggest resources of economy in that area, and a ban would eliminate jobs for local residents, my house cleaners, lawn care workers, my snow removal services, maintenance professionals, and more. And these are real people whose livelihoods depend on the flow of visitors coming to visit Higgins Lake. I want to be very clear that I'm not asking you to allow bad homeowners to disrupt our neighborhoods. I agree that there should be accountability and consequences for those who violate township rules or create public nuisances, but do not punish responsible, upstanding homeowners who care for their properties, support their neighbors, and continue to thrive on the vitality of your township. This area is one of the most beautiful places in Michigan to visit, and I feel very fortunate to enjoy it, and I love sharing that experience with others. Instead of a blanket ban that harms families, businesses, and workers, I urge you to consider a more balanced approach, one that enforces restrictions on rentals that continuously break public nuisances while allowing good hosts to continually contribute positively to the community. I respectfully ask you to reconsider this proposal ban, helping support local travel, protect local jobs, and allow more people to experience the perfection that so many of us have fallen in love with at Higgins Lake. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Tara. Appreciate your words. Thank you very much. And we're back in the room again, and we'll go to the right side here. Come on up.
Robert Janowski.
Oh,
Hello. Okay, well,
didn't see your hat there.
yeah, got to keep this bald head
The
one.
floor is yours, sir.
Okay, so the whole idea of the ordinance is counterproductive to the biggest township concern, I believe, is the health of the Higgins Lake. It's the allowing the rentals creates a big problem with the lake conservation and septic control. How are you going to determine 90 plus rentals who are going to use one-on-one manage, inspect these properties? The ordinance does not protect the integrity, as you have in the ordinance. The increased occupancy will not exceed the capacity of or otherwise burden the septic system. How are you going to control that? I mean, you're not going to be able to control that. Okay, most residents that live with a septic, they know what not to flush down the toilet. People that come from downstate who have sewers, they have no idea. Baby wipes, dude wipes, feminine products, they flush them. My granddaughter came up and we had to explain to her. I mean, you just can't control these kind of things. And even pumping your system does not completely eliminate those problems. So, and what are you going to do? Hire a complete team to do this monitoring, inspections? Your long-term ordinance, you don't even enforce that. I attend every meeting, either Zoom or here, and I never heard one thing from the building and zoning telling me or anybody we've had, long-term rentals, 15 of them. I know 3 personally that are not registered. You probably all know many more. So I just see this as, it's useless. I mean, I don't disagree with short-term rentals. I use them when I go out of state. But for Higgins Lake, you can't overdo it. It's a disaster. It's opening up Pandora's box. So even our master plan opposes almost everything with regards to STRs. I mean, I could read it to you, but I don't have enough time. I'll leave this paper with you, but you all know the master plan. And unless you're going to change it, everything about an STR is against it. So, I mean, and again, if you look at the ordinance for long-term rentals, you have nothing in there that's in the short-term rental. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead and just give it to the clerk there. She's the keeper of the record there. Thank you very much. We're back to the Zoom now for somebody who's up. Ashley, can you hear us?
Yes, sorry, I just want to make sure it was my turn.
There we go. I think it was, might have been on our end getting that opened up quick enough, maybe. No, it wasn't. Okay, very good. Ashley, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know I already wrote in a letter on one of the previous meetings that you guys had, but I wanted to add to that or kind of explain a little further detail, obviously, because the draft has changed as these meetings have occurred. So mainly, I've been live since August, and I should say I'm Ashley Pratt. I'm owner of Haven on Higgins. I'm off Cheney Point Drive over there, which I know that house has gotten a lot of flack from some of the residential people around there. Couple of my concerns follow a lot of what everyone else has already said. The tourism that it brings into our area, punishing good property owners versus the old property owners. And I could beat a dead horse and continue to go through everything that everyone else has already said. I do think it's a mistake to outright ban them in the process of the couple years that you guys go live. I'd rather see it, you guys eliminate bad property owners as the years go on, as complaints are made and made valid. I want to ensure that when we go live, that these residents around us who are upset when they make complaints to Gerrish Township that they are that valid. They're not lies. My house is completely occupied. 2 cameras on the back that face the lake, 1 that faces the front. I have a noise ordinance or a noise monitor that monitors the decibel in my backyard, and it's been on since August, and it has never went off, which it's set at 60 decibels. Yet the neighbor claims that I've had loud parties, and that's never been the case. I've only had family-oriented people who have stayed in my property, and my property is very well maintained. I am up there weekly, and I find it comical that the last maybe 4 or 5 times I've been there, as I drive down Cheney Point, many driveways of these residents are unplowed, which means they probably haven't been here or they have left this area. I haven't left. My guests continue to come, and my guests continue to spend their money at the local places. One specific one I've commented on recently is Northwind's Pizzeria. I have a guest book in my house, and guests continue to praise that place as well. They take care of the customers and they enjoy their food and their pizza. And I just wonder what would happen to a place like that if short-term rentals were banned and snowmobilers didn't come up and all of that from here on out. The other thing that I continue to get nailed on is the fact that my house is in an LLC. I'm a 37-year-old mother, and I own multiple businesses. And if anybody knows anything, your rental should be in an LLC in case something happened. It's for protection of suing and getting all my other assets and things that I own. It is not because I'm just some big high-end investor coming in to just destroy Higgins Lake. This house is a long-term goal for me to have something to retire to when that time comes. Just because I'm a legal LLC and I'm running as a business and I report every dollar that I earn, unlike a lot of the short-term rentals that I have come across over the last summer, that doesn't mean that I don't matter as much as somebody who just collects cash on the side. Every bit of my money is ran through Airbnb and my direct booking website, and both of those report directly to the IRS in the state of Michigan, and I pay my tax on every dollar that I do. So I find it very offensive when these residents claim I'm some big time investor just because my property is safely kept in an LLC, which I find is very smart.
You're on time.
Okay, sorry. So I'll cut it off right there. Just want to let you know I think it's a mistake to ban them, and I think we should re-look at that part of it and just ban houses that are not following your guys' rules. And I think there should be some sort of regulation, just not a ban. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Very good, Ashley. And we've heard from Ashley before throughout this, and I've appreciated her approach for sure with the approach to this. I know it's a hot topic, as I said earlier. So, Ashley, thank you. We're going to go to the gentleman. Ooh, you're in the same row. You had your hand up first a while ago, and then, ma'am, I'll take you with the next time, okay? This gentleman here, if you could come on up again, give your name and let us know what your comment is. We appreciate
Good evening. Thank you for your time. Thank you for allowing me to be heard. My name's Patrick Kelly. I'm representing my wife's family's cottage, the Hoffman Cottage on Higgins Lake, just down the street here. And we do rent that for 5 weeks a year to pay the property taxes, to pay Gerrish Township. It is a lakefront property, so the property taxes are relatively high. I also I manage it. I don't use Airbnb. I don't use VRBO. I have a website. I also manage the neighboring property right immediately next door to our property and one other property in Gerrish Township. All those three are the same situation. They are family owned, long term. They're just looking to pay their property taxes and keep it in the family. Our cottage is the center of the family. It was built by my wife's father in the early 70s. He had 8 kids, and it is the center of the family. It is where we all gather. And again, in order to keep it in the family, we rent it. I've heard complaints about problems with rentals, property renters. Most of my renters are families that some of them have been renting for 15 or more years, the property. They do not cause any of these problems. These problems that I've heard don't exist. I talked to the neighbors on both sides of all those 3 rentals. They all have my phone number. They all contact me. I'm here. I'm on the property. And again, particularly a ban. I understand licensing regulation, but beyond the ban, I don't understand why there should be a limit, why one person should be allowed to rent their place. And then if there's whatever number of rentals already existing, that someone can't rent their property. I see that as taking away property rights. As of today, we have the right to rent our property. If this ordinance passes, that right will be taken away. So that's taking away property rights for no reason. In particular, the septic issue, it doesn't matter if you're a renter or an owner. If you have people at the property, they use the septic system in the same way. I don't believe that certain people don't know how to use the toilet. That's just not my experience. And again, it doesn't matter whether it's a renter there at the property or whether it's the owners at the property. Sure. The property's being used. And also the property's being used only 10% of the year because most of the time, there's nobody there. So again, we're not a burden on the garbage services. We don't even have garbage pickup the majority of the year. So the township doesn't have to deal with that. And again, I just, we don't do this to make money. We do this to keep the property in the family.
Understand. Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Thank you. All right. I think we're to Zoom next. Do we have anybody? We don't. So now yep. The only thing I do is point at you because I don't know your name. But come on up. What's that?
I hope right one.
Yeah, I did. I hate to
She's
point.
anyways.
Mama told me never to point, but I don't know how else to do this. So.
My name is Kathy Lash. And good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm here because I care deeply about this community, our lake, and the future of the families who invest their time, money, and love into keeping this area thriving. My daughter and I purchased our property in 2017 because our family loves the lake and hope to keep this property for many generations. This is my principal residence. I own one property with 2 homes on a single lot. I live in one home and the second provides space for my family and grandchildren when they visit. To supplement my Social Security income, I occasionally rent the second home to a small number of reoccurring families who return year after year. These rentals are closely monitored by me and are subject to strict guidelines. I ensure the property is well maintained, neighbors are respected, parking is limited and monitored, and septic tanks are cleaned annually. And I heard the comments on the septic tank, and we make sure our renters know what they need to do. And we also talk to Sergeant Septic to make sure they don't see anything that's wrong. All of this is done with the intention of preserving the property and maintaining harmony within the neighborhood so it can remain in our family for future generations. As the ordinance is currently written, my understanding is that it would create an overly burdensome requirement for this type of occasional ownership occupied rental. While I do see language regarding a principal residence exemption on page 6 of the proposal, it is unclear. The wording states that principal resident exemptions granted to owner-occupied properties are not eligible for a license. It is unclear whether this means I do not need to apply for a license or whether I'm prohibited from applying altogether. If the intent is to exempt situations like me, that should be stated more clearly to avoid confusion and unintended consequences. In addition, the steps required for the license, such as getting approval from everyone on our street, is overly cumbersome. If you live down a long street and owners are partial occupants or non-residents, how is this possible? If property is right off Main Road, who are you responsible to contact? They can just approve without reason. I am also concerned about the broader impact this ordinance may have in our community and local businesses. Vocational renters are far more likely to support local restaurants, gas stations, gift shops, equipment rentals, and other small businesses that rely on seasonal visitors. Limiting responsible short-term renters could negatively affect these businesses, especially when the homes involved would otherwise be temporarily unoccupied. Finally, I am concerned about the practicality of enforcing these regulations. Establishing our license systems without clear standards, adequate staffing, or dedicated funding for enforcement and compliance could create challenges for both homeowners and the municipality. I appreciate the effort that has gone into developing this ordinance and understand it is intended to serve the best interests of the community. However, I respectfully ask the board to consider clearer language, reasonable exemptions for owners occupied properties like myself, and the potential economic impact on local businesses.
We're at time.
And I'm done.
Kathy, thank you.
Thank you. Nice to put a face here.
Very good. Thank you very much for your comment. I appreciate that. I'm working my way back, Larry. I know I see you, but the gentleman over here, I think like halfway back and that would be you. Steve, is that you? Oh yeah, come on. All I saw was a forehead there for a bit.
Is that nice?
Come on up.
I could say that to you.
I know you could say that to me. I get it. A lot of things you can say. No hair.
Oh,
No hair.
thank-
Yeah.
Thanks for having this meeting and hearing us all out.
Mhm.
I echo many of the things that people talk about as far as the economics.
State your name for us.
Oh, my
please.
name is Steve Lupke.
Thank
And
you.
I'm been
Thank
an owner in the area for about 30 years. I'm not going to repeat all of those, but they're all true. Okay. I live in a cabiny area. Okay. As many of us do. Many people that come up here cannot come every single weekend. You know, sometimes they might only come once a month or something like that. And to have all of those cabins, all of that resource sitting there, okay, empty, to me, it just doesn't make sense. And again, it's brutal on the local economy. It just doesn't make sense. So I would echo that. I think it is a boost to the local property values in particular. I'm going to tell you a quick little story here. I currently have offers in on 2 cabins down the way from me. Okay. One of them has been empty for 30 years. Okay. Seriously. It's been right, you know, it's not too far from me. And the other one, okay, is in equally bad shape. They're both going to need septic systems. They're going to need new wells. And I was prepared to do that.
Mhm.
Okay. That's my plan. And completely gutting and new roofs and the whole 9 yards.
Mhm.
I was planning on spending a year on each one of my own labor to get this done. If you implement this law, I'm going to have to back out. It's just not cost justified.
Mhm.
So what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of that where people are not making investments in property. They're not buying property because it just doesn't make economic sense. So, and that's huge to me. Okay. I'd like to echo that the uneven property rights issue, that's just a lawsuit waiting to happen. There's no way that you can tell one person you can rent your house and you can't rent yours. That's going to go down in flames, in my opinion. And it's just unfair. It's just completely unfair. What I would say needs to be done is, and I'm echoing some of the other comments here, is it's about the homeowner or the owner of the property or manager of the property. I go down to Gulf Shores most winters, and I've rented from the same guy many years. And the first thing he told me, he says, I'm going to talk to all my neighbors after you leave. And if I hear anything bad reports about you, you're just not coming back. Clear as a bell. And I've been there 4 years, so apparently I'm not a problem. Okay. So across the way from him, there's a house where the owner doesn't care very much. Out of the whole street, everybody's great, but there's that one house that's just a ruckus. Okay. And it's probably a corporate rental or something like that. They just want to fill it and they don't care. They get their money. So my advice to you is to leave us, allow the people to the rights that they currently have. And if someone is not standing up to their responsibilities, hold them accountable. So a couple other things. This is a recreational area. Okay. It's mostly cabins around the lake. I live right in a cabiny area. Okay. I actually ripped down an old cabin and built my current house. In the summertime, for those 3 months or whatever, does it get a little ruckus? Yes, it does. Are the renters any worse than the owners that come up? Maybe a little bit. Okay. But not markedly. I've had many renters around me, many great, so on and so forth. So the expectation, okay, also, I expect a little ruckus. Okay. I mean, I'm not saying I don't want 40 people in a 2-room cabin that are, playing music loud all night. I understand that. But what I'm saying is social activity and everything that goes on in a recreational area should be expected to a certain.
Fine. Thank you.
So, okay. Anything else? Well, you got my letter anyway.
Yes,
I got the rest of it in there. So
You're good. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. Gentleman with the face mask on. I guess there's 2 of you. I don't know how to clarify anymore.
I'm John Wagner. My grandfather bought our property in 1937. We have 200 feet of frontage and we have 3 houses on the lake. There's also one in the back. I live in one of the houses in the back. And my family comes every year. We have a family reunion on the lake. We've been renting for 20 or 30 years. And in 20 or 30 years, we had the police come one time. And they also came another time when my son had a party, but that wasn't
been there both
we
times.
Won't talk about that.
That's there both times. I know where it's at.
Yeah.
I know the circumstances. Unfortunately. Go ahead.
So, but as I said, this is a big part of my income. My house was 700 square feet. I rebuilt it. I tore it down to the ground and rebuilt it made it 1,700 square feet. And I stay in there 2 weeks out of the year when my family's here, and because most of the time I live in the other house on the property, and so I just think we just don't have problems. We charge a reasonable amount. The people who come are great people. These people, they are not poor people. They are not trashy people. They know how to take care of stuff. And when they leave, the houses all look really nice. We pay cleaners to come in. We pay we pay non-resident taxes. If somebody were living there, the taxes would be double, or excuse me, half.
Half. Yes.
And so and when you're looking at eliminating thousands of people, this is one of the greatest things that happens to them is their trip with their family or families to Higgins Lake. And stopping that, I think, is just a disaster for these people come from all over the country and sometimes all over the world. So I just think that needs to be looked into.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, John. I think you're behind Mr. Fry there. It's Mr. Fry in front of you, in case you don't know. Yeah,
Yes.
that's you. Come on up. The floor is yours.
Hello,
Oh,
my name's Carrie McGee. I own You Got a Maid Cleaning Company, and I am here on behalf of all the Airbnbs that we do clean. We have about 60 customers all around the lake and Houghton Lake,
How many?
about 60
Okay.
around the area. And Blair is one of mine. Carrie Nolan is one of mine. There's a
Okay.
few on the list.
Mhm.
And if you eliminate these Airbnbs, we will lose our job. We have employees, they'll lose their jobs. There's plowing companies, maintenance, lawn care, there's many others. We've been doing this for 4 years now. And out of these 4 years and all how busy we are through the summer, we have not had one problem we walked into. All the houses are kept up perfectly fine, maybe a little bit messier sometimes than usual, but no big parties, nothing trashed, anything like that.
Okay.
I also own an Airbnb
Okay.
in Gerrish here. We've been doing that 3 or 4 years now, and same. I walk in, nothing, no problems. We've had many people travel from all around the United States, and we've also had a couple come from Roscommon, Ireland, to come visit. So we've had a lot of great stories. Some kids are sick and they're making their trip for the first time out. So just want to let you guys know that if that is eliminated, then, a lot of families won't be able to make it to see our beautiful lake, and, jobs will be lost. And a lot of this, and with all the snow here, most of my entire month of November and December now, going into January, has been completely booked. And they're skiing at the cross country ski headquarters and
Nice.
snowmobiling. So in the past few years, our winters have been really slow just because of our snow hasn't been here. But that's all I got.
Understand. Thank you very much. Anything on Zoom on the fairness side? Okay. The gentleman with the other face mask on to the right of the gentleman. Thank you, sir. Floor is yours.
Howdy, Kip
Hello.
Wagner
Yeah.
from the Shields houses on the south end of the lake. As John, my brother, said, we've rented for 20 years or more, and probably 30, because, for instance, one of our renters rented for 20 years. And at some point, my daughter became bridesmaid for their daughter. I mean, they become family, and they care about being where we are as much as, we do. We love the lake. We take care of our septic tank. And anybody who's making it like, John and I live there, we do all the maintenance and try and make it as pristine as possible. We had a gentleman come up last year, or excuse me, about 3 years ago, and his kids go, "Dad, we should get a house like this." And his dad goes, Are you crazy? Have you seen Kip or John stop moving? I mean,
Yes.
it's a labor of love, and we love it. We love the lake. We're responsible renters. We have rules governing how many people per house. And I'm no longer a premier host on Airbnb or VRBO. And that's because you have to have more more new bookings.
Got it.
And I'm returns.
Right.
So I'm no longer a premier host, but I'm just saying I'm on Social Security. My taxes are more than half my Social Security. So I don't have a choice or I lose the house. So that's why it's important to me.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Appreciate
coming
it.
out tonight.
Thank you.
Kip. Okay, nothing on Zoom. We have a hand back there. Come on up. Is that April?
It is.
It is.
She promised not to make no trouble.
So far, very proud of the group.
Me too.
Adult discussions here,
Me
and
too.
and there certainly is listening on our parts as well. So,
Hi,
hi, April. I know you. But we should state your name.
I'm April Carnes. I live in Gerrish Township. I help manage my daughter's rental in Lyon Township. I wish everyone behind me would have come to Lyon Township's meetings on their ordinance, but I'm glad to see Lyon Township people here, so I hope you are also listening, Lyon Township. I wasn't going to say anything, but I'll be good. So my great grandfather was the first one here in Roscommon County. He was a logger that worked for Carson Legg, and he lived in one of those little tiny, tiny shacks at the whistle stop. That's where we would come visit him when we came up. So we have a lot of history here. I've lived here in Gerrish Township for 35 years. My kids grew up here. My daughter's dream was to have a home at Higgins. She lives in New Orleans. So her first short-term rental, and you've talked to her quite a bit in the past, Erica, was in Gerrish Township off the lake on Lady Slipper.
Yep.
She now has a rental in Lyon Township on the lake. I just kind of put a few notes down here, but just like the others have said, I mean, we promote family time. We have a book that lists everything that they can see, go to, from police, restaurants, shops, churches. We promote the area, boat rentals, they all contribute. We try very hard to make sure that the renters come. Before they come, we ask, what is your purpose in coming? So they tell us why they're coming up. It's to be family, friends, or celebrate a birthday. We make it very clear before we accept the rental that this home is in a residential area and it is not meant for parties. And they've all complied with that. We really have had no trouble. The only trouble we had, and I told Lyon Township this last night, you might remember, we had two old ladies that were renting in their 80s. They took the golf cart down to the road end of Lady Slipper and they were reading books, quietly reading books. And the neighbor called and reported them because they were at the road end. I mean, that's not bad.
That one.
You remember, she
think
talked
we're
to you
talking
about that, yes. I mean, you know, if that's as bad as it gets, that's not so bad. I think it would be good for both townships to take the time to try and gather data on the number of rentals, work with the police department. I know here, Gerrish, you have your own police department. Lyon Township, I guess it would be the sheriff's department, to see what kind of complaints are out there. To, you know, just kind of get a feel better for, instead of just, you know, everybody's a problem that's a short-term rental. Not really. They're not. They're just like everybody else. I live on Burdell Road. Burdell Road is a road end. It's traffic to all the other little streets. We have people that walk down our street, ride bikes, bring their dogs, walk through the woods across from us. They come from the campground, they come from other houses. That's the nature of living in a recreational area. I don't open my door and yell at them and say, don't walk on my street, or I'm tired of seeing you come by. If my neighbors, my direct neighbors both live downstate and they're only here on weekends, so, we have our quiet time, we have our busy time, but that's the way it is. We all live here because of the lake. We
We're at
love
4
the lake,
minutes.
and it's recreational, and we should want to share it with reasonable, responsible people. I have concerns about limiting the number both in Lyon Township and here. When you are given a license for a year and you're limited, we've already got 3/4 of summer of 2026 booked. So in the summer of 2026, we're going to be booking summer of 2027. And if I'm stuck in a lottery or can't get a license, what is that? There's no assurance for us.
Sorry, you're at 5.
I'm at 5.
5 minutes. You like
Oh
to
my
talk.
Lord.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I do like to be long-winded. Thank you.
Thank you, April.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
one more thing, because I'm an auditor.
Okay.
Because I'm an
Yes,
auditor.
ma'am.
On page 5, total number of licenses, as you go through that and the issuance and denial, to me, it felt like one section was contradicting another section. So you might want to look through that again and make sure that, this is approved or not approved, and then go to the next section.
Why don't you send me your notes?
Okay.
Can you do that?
I can do that. Yep.
Starting with if the applicant fails to provide that language.
I mean, I'll go back and rewatch this a billion
Right.
times.
Yeah.
If you could
Yeah.
send it to
But
me,
that
that'd be great.
section C and D, it just kind of gets,
There's a
Okay.
couple spots in there, admittedly so, and the whole board will say it, that we've got some verbiage
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah, it just didn't flow right to me, and you know me.
And that's why we're not just running anywhere with stuff. You got to get the verbiage right. If
Yeah.
you're going to try and legislate, you've got to get it right.
Yeah.
So
And I would hate to see an outright ban. So,
I put that down. I figured that as
all right.
Thank you.
all right.
Even as a homeowner. So.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gotta go back to where I was back here. I'm sorry. Larry. Finally back to the back of the room there, Larry. What's that?
Short, I can't see over there.
Yeah, I have that same problem everywhere I go.
Good evening and thank you. I'm Larry Maduri, by the way.
Thanks, Larry. You got the floor.
So I have a few points that I want to make. So on the first, the ordinance is written very well. So in terms of the bookends and how you want to have things structured and the accountability and making sure that there are consequences that are, it's all there. I mean, it really is there. So I think you'll find that as you go on with this, that you'll find that every once in a while renter will go away, and the people that do this, for a living, or have a little bit more invested in it, you'll see that they'll flourish, right? The other thing is that with these ordinances, I think, and you take the emotion out of it, you're dealing with something that is a business operating in a residential area, right? So whether you want to admit it or not, the zoning clearly states that it's residential and there are businesses that are being run out of there. That's really, I think, the crux and what the problem is that you're trying to solve right now.
That is the issue.
Right, because you have to deal with not only that piece of it, but also the zoning piece of it, right? So the planning commission has their own work that they have to do.
Yeah.
So there are those pieces that have to be done there. I think really what it will boil down to is people really understanding what the ordinance is and what it is not, right? And I think that doing away with the short-term rental, I think I looked at it as just getting a rise out of people to get them in the room, right? Because you literally could do it. You very easily could do it, but knowing that you're allowing it now and that you're going to maybe sunset it at some point,
sure,
I think
Sure.
in my opinion, is unrealistic. It's just not something that, and I think that these ordinances are written not for the people that have the businesses. These are for the 40 or 50% that live here year round that have to deal with the issues that are going on. And, you know, you have the policing already there. You have the consequences that are already there. So I think running it and just so people can see how it's actually working will really tell the tale. You know, we can sit up here and talk all day, but
Yes.
once it's all there, you'll see that it will be, I think, in my opinion, very successful. So great job, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate your words. I have one on Zoom. Not till the end. Okay. Well, they're going to have to state a name.
Bill Jasper.
I'm sorry. Who is this?
This is Bill Jasper.
Hello, Bill. You have the floor.
Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
Hey, listen, I'm going to be one of the minorities here, but I've owned a house. Kathy and myself built our house 40 some years ago, 1986. Our kids all went to school there. We got 10 acres along with 4 other homes that share one driveway. Just this past November, the house at the end of the driveway ended up changing hands and turning into a short-term rental. We never had any problems safety-wise. We still haven't had any problems safety-wise, but now nobody knows who's coming and going down our own driveway. There's issues with the garbage. The renters can't roll the garbage can all the way up to the road, so they've created a bin at the road that gets overflown with garbage, and consequently the critters get in it, and now there's garbage everywhere. So I guess my bottom line is, you know, we bought that house, we bought our 10 acres for security reasons, and we no longer feel secure in our area. That's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. That's my opinion. And, you know, again, I hear a lot of people talking about, well, this is our income. You know, this is a residential area. This is not an income-making business type of venture. So, Brian, that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate your comments.
Okay,
we're
thank
going to
you.
go back, continue to the back of the room, and then I'll come back forward, guys. Gentleman in the back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Timothy Monet, Lyon Township. First of all, I'd like to excuse the way I'm tired, but I just came from work. So here it is. And I hope you indulge me. There is a lot of information. There's a lot of information I think that people don't understand. I'm here tonight as a concerned resident. I know I work for the Lyon Township Board of Trustees, but I know I wear that hat, but at the end of the day, I'm still a concerned citizen.
I think somebody's phone.
Stop
Somebody,
my clock.
it's somebody
Stop
on
my
Zoom.
clock. Stop my clock. I have a lot.
Got you, buddy.
I have a lot to say. Okay, I am good. So I'm going to talk very, very fast.
You get a reset now.
You can
Okay.
reset.
Tonight, I want to talk about the individual requirements set forth in the Gerrish Township's short-term rental ordinance set forth in draft A4, and I'm going to get right into it. Section 5, paragraph B, subsection number 17, the application for the short-term rental license in number 17. Proof of consent from all residents located on the same private road or shared access easement on the short-term rental premises if applicable. I understand what a short or a shared easement access is. Maybe not everyone does. However, as elected officials, you are tasked with creating, enforcing all local rules, laws, and regulations through ordinances. This section has empowered the people with the authority to reject a private property owner's rights to maintain a short-term rental and take part in this process, authority which is not theirs to have. This is discriminatory in nature, in my opinion, and by virtue of that power. This may be a stretch for some, it is not for me. If you allow residents this power, I feel this is a regulatory taking of land. In 1922, the United States Supreme Court first recognized that if a regulation goes too far, it will be recognized as a taking. It's just not about eminent domain anymore. A regulatory taking occurs when a government regulation limits the use of private property to such a degree that it effectively deprives the property of any value. We all know the homes will still have value, but to what extent? If someone is denied a short-term rental license because you have empowered the people with the caveat of consent, the property still has its value, but once again, to what extent? You will hinder their ability to take part in the process and have a property that is as economically viable as others within the same zoning districts. I call it a taking, and one could look at the Penn test established in 1978 to look at this further. A categorical taking only occurs when a regulation denies all economically beneficial or productive use of the land. I know any's a stretch, but I like to take it to a stretch. Police powers are at their core supposed to be uniform in nature, unlike zoning. Act 246 of 1945, which is what you intend to pass this through, is the guiding legislation for police power ordinances in our state. The people need to understand a police power ordinance does not mean that there is an actual police officer present. It is a regulation that empowers a municipality the authority to enact ordinances to secure the public health, safety, and general welfare of the people. That's it. This section allows for different rules for different reasons. Section 6 under your regulations, paragraph 3, 12 occupants. Immediate neighbors and all the property owners within 100 feet of the dwelling consent to the increased occupancy. Do you really want people knocking on doors after 11 p.m. to ask for permission as per your ordinance? And how does this information get to the township per your own draft? The problem I have with this language and the thousands I've read, not thousands, but it's dozens, and I have over 500 pages of documents in my possession, is that all these ordinances do not look at the idea of what happens if an act of God, an unforeseen circumstance, or an act of nature takes precedent. So it's 1 o'clock in the morning and there's a medical emergency, or a broken down vehicle, or a weather emergency. Your ordinance says that I must go to the neighbors or anyone in your township and ask for their permission. Well, I'll tell you right now, you're creating a hostile situation. Huh?
3.5.
3.5, okay. This language, again, empowers the public with authority they should not have. I'm also curious why you didn't include distances within the rentals. At the heart of this issue with short-term rental ordinances, why are you allowing short-term rentals at all just to bring down the number to 0 in 2029? I'm 100% in favor of keeping short-term rentals with regulations and ordinance in place to suit the needs of the community, but only to a degree that does not infringe on the people's rights. I want the people to understand the difference between the police power and zoning. Police powers are retroactive in nature. Gerrish Township allows rentals now until December 2029. The ban on rentals will be retroactive to 2026 and they will be declared unlawful.
4 minutes.
This deprives the people any rights to continue with a short-term rental. Police powers are also designed to regulate activities on land, not the actual land use. The state of Michigan should not be allowing land use to be dictated by police powers. Zoning, on the other hand, regulates the use of the land. The courts, more often than not, have established that a short-term rental is a commercial endeavor within a residential dwelling. Zoning is not retroactive. If you had a short-term rental in the past, you get to keep it under a non-conforming use. You should be grandfathered in. They do not want to use zoning because this opens the door to more legal requirements, whereas police power for all townships removes any say that the communities may have. You don't have the right to protest. You don't have the right to engage in the process. This is why it's called police power. Going a step further, the state of Michigan has failed the people by ever letting us know and passing legislation.
You're done. 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. 5. Thank you, Tim.
Completely.
I know,
different
you're fine.
times.
Anyway, at the end
Thank
of
you, Tim.
if I can just say one last little, it's literal.
We have had those things reviewed, obviously.
Well, I know you have. You can do
legally,
it. I just have one.
and
As I read from a friend downstate, is at the end of the day, we should be regulating the activities, not the name on the business card, because there has to be a happy median.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. very back yet. Still had one or two behind you, ma'am, and I'll get with you, okay? Keep raising it though, if you will. It just helps me.
Who are you talking to?
Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you.
State your name, please.
Yeah, I will. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Brad Gibson. I'm a resident of Gerrish Township. I'm in attendance to advocate support of the proposed ordinance restricting short-term rentals. All municipalities are responsible for creating a master plan. The notion of a master plan is to provide guidelines, principles, and objectives to local government officials to consider when they create and enforce zoning and other ordinances. In other words, ordinances should reflect the goals established by the master plan. Gerrish Township currently has a master plan. Here's one of the goals of the master plan. This is a quote from the plan. Provide a healthy residential environment in which persons and families can grow and flourish, and which responds to the opportunities and constraints of the township's public services and natural features, and preserves the overall rural and single-family housing character of the community. Allowing the leasing of homes for fewer than 30 days does not preserve the rural or single-family housing character of the community. The utilization and growth of short-term rentals in our neighborhood has made it a less desirable place to live. Ever-changing groups of multiple families occupy the rental properties nearly every week in the summer. We've had several short-term rentals in our neighborhood, with new ones slated to begin this summer. It has negatively altered the character of the community. Families in our neighborhood have witnessed some of the following events multiple times each summer. This is not an all-inclusive list, but overflowing of garbage bins, dozens of trash bags sitting at the curb are not unusual each week. 4, 5, 6, 7, and one time I counted 8 cars parked at a property, which impedes the traffic flow. Regular loud late night parties with music that can be heard down 10 properties in each direction. Trespassing. This includes lounging on the lakeside of a repairing owners, tying their boats to repairing mooring buoys to store them temporarily, and storing their chairs and water toys on others' property. Stealing of neighbors' property owners' firewood for campfires. General rowdiness often feels like we live near college fraternities rather than a residential area. This is just a partial list of the concerns. Our neighborhood has lost its sense of community with different people occupying properties each week. The growing problem conflicts with the stated township goal as preserving the single-family housing nature of the community, and I believe it violates the existing R1 designation. My concern extends beyond these experiences. I'm distressed regarding the negative environmental impact of these short-term rentals on the watershed and the lake. A review of the Central Michigan District Health Department's file shows that over 20% of the improved properties in Gerrish have no records of well or septic. All of the nearly 80% that have some records, the data is limited. We simply don't know how many septic systems are complying with the current standards. With a system where the quality of the septic system is unknown and no restrictions on short-term rentals, we're allowing more people to occupy these homes, which obviously leads to more septic effluent entering our watershed. For these reasons, I respectfully ask the township to pass the police powers ordinance to restrict the number of short-term rentals in the near term and ultimately make it a violation to rent your property for less than 30 days. Thanks.
Thank you. You kept within your time very well. Thank you.
Oh, we got one on Zoom? Ed Pander. Ed, the floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you, Ed.
Okay. I'd just like to make a few short comments. No matter what, a short-term rental, it's commercial lodging. It's not residential. We're talking about residential areas. The other thing is the whole goal behind it is high turnover occupancy, which other people have talked about. It is creating noise, parking congestion. improper use of the lake. Since the proliferation of short-term rentals, I've noticed a whole lot more garbage on the lake, so forth and so on. Short-term renters don't have any long-term stake in the lake. So no matter what, you can go through the consequences of septic and everything else. A place that's being constantly used is going to have more septic issues than those that are not. And last but not least is you're taking and asking the neighbors to do the enforcement. I'm not making any comments against the Gerrish Township Police, but the fact of the matter remains is if somebody is having a rowdy party, I've got to pick up the phone and call. Yes, there are good renters, but since the proliferation of short-term rentals, all of these problems have been exacerbated to a great deal. And that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
Okay, back out in the audience. The gal back there that's patiently waited. Thank you. Appreciate your patience. You might say differently if it's ice out there, but you might need all night. Your floor is yours.
I would just like to state my name is Shauna Bernard. I am an owner of a short-term rental. I read and hear a lot about the zoning ordinances. I just want to touch base a little bit on a zoning ordinance. Whether it's a short-term rental, whether it's a long-term rental, whether it's your local selling firewood, anytime that a person is offering a service, your housekeeper right there, I don't know if she has an office, but if she does not have an office, she is then doing it out of her home. Anytime that you provide a service or on there and you take money, that is called the business. So not just short-term rentals, and I'm only going to speak for Lyon Township, but I've seen it here. People are selling firewood, during the summer months and that. So I guess my thing would be that if we're going to start on the zoning, then we need to look at all of it, not just the short-term rentals. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Oh, one other real quick thing.
Yes,
Sure.
ma'am.
And if I could just ask if we could maybe get some data on the good and the bad of short-term rentals.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. In the front here.
My name is Kevin Catterfeld, Scotch Pine. I've owned that property now for over 20 years, so I'm a first generation. But my wife, her family she's third generation, so they've been on Higgins Lake for 85 years. So a lot of time and emotional baggage with this lake. The statement of that renting properties on Higgins Lake is not new. That's true. My wife's grandfather rented before they built in 1959. The difference being is I have a place on Scotch Pine, and my mother-in-law's place is literally a 5 to 7 minute walk from my place. And today I can walk, that short walk, and there's 4 rental places now, 4 short-term rental places between our 2 houses. So the statement of, this is not new, that's true. Has it changed? I think that's the problem. It has changed. And the impact has been significant to the residents, the people who live here, the people who live like on Scotch Pine. My house has a rental place, short-term rental next to it. and her place on Burroughs has a short-term rental next to it. So we are both neighbors of short-term rentals. So I've heard people talk, hey, our renters, very few of them cause problems. Well, the only reason they can say that, unless they live on that property or near that property, is because the neighbors aren't complaining about it. And Ed brought this point up, Bill Casper brought this point up. The last gentleman who spoke in favor of this ordinance brought that point up too, is the people who are running businesses, generating revenue, trying to turn over people, really at 1 o'clock in the morning have no idea what's going on in that house. They may say, well, we've got cameras or sound decibel meters. But the reality is the next door neighbor, like myself, who has to get up or used to have to get up. I retired recently, but I used to have to get up at 5 in the morning to go to work, had to deal with these clowns at 1 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't the property owner. The property owner ended up getting involved only because I had to trigger that result with the police department because I was told I cannot interact with the renters. So I think this is a more complicated problem than what is being presented by the people who own the properties who are doing short-term rentals, because my opinion is that they see this only in one way. They rent the property is maintained, and the results of the renters during the night are really not their problem until the neighbor complains about it. We don't know who's going to be in those houses. Every 3 days we get a new renter, next to us. We have no idea who these people are. And you're in a residential area, and now we have people that could they have a criminal history? We have no idea. We better lock the doors at night. I have a 9mm that I leave on the dresser now. I have no idea who's next door to me. They're not my neighbors. It's a business. This year alone, we talk about riparian rights. We'll be sitting on the dock at my mother's place, and there'll be people swimming out literally off of our dock 10, 15 feet from us. Their jet ski will be moored out there because, and it's not the fault of the renters, because they don't know that that's not appropriate. That you just don't go hang out at your neighbor's dock. You just don't moor your boat at the end of your neighbor's dock. Your neighbor,
you're at 4 minutes,
who is a resident, would know that. So I fully support this, and I hope in 2030 I don't have to deal with this anymore, because I didn't live up here to deal with short-term rentals.
Okay, very good. Thank you for your comments.
Oh, I need an adjustment.
Amanda. Lori, what? Lori Haney. Lori, go ahead. The floor is now yours. Thank you.
Thank you. I own property on Jackson Boulevard, and my in-laws have a place across from that. They are on the lake. We are just behind them with Jackson. It's a dirt road dividing us. And there is a ranch house that is next to them across the road from us. So we look at the back of it. And there were longtime owners that have lived there for forever. They sold the property, and the people that bought it have never been on Higgins Lake. They know nothing about the lake. And they're from downstate. We met them. They were very nice, flat out lied and told us that they were not going to rent it. Came in, totally remodeled the inside of it, added bedrooms, added bathroom, did not upgrade anything, did not pull any permits. We basically doubled our property, had to put in a 1,500-gallon septic system because we made it 4 beds, 2 baths. They don't even have room to upgrade their septic. They have parking for 2 cars, maybe, and they're going to be making it into an Airbnb. Now, this summer, I don't know whether they rented it or what, but somebody plopped a tent on the property line. We're sitting on our swing next door, literally 6 feet away. These people plop a tent to stay the night. Their dogs running around, come over into our yard, leaves messes. The homeowner's dog gets out and comes over. We're in very close quarters. There is another rental a few houses down. It's lakefront, but it sits back. We laugh and joke that it's the COVID house because during COVID, there was 20 plus people there all the time. Different people. And like the last gentleman said, we don't know who these people are. We all have young grandkids running around. I'm scared to death to let my 2 granddaughters play out in the yard because who's going to be across the road? And I just think that, like the last gentleman said, there's a lot more. I totally sympathize with people wanting to help pay their taxes and that have rented it for a long time. But there has got to be ordinances and zonings. And how is it we had to upgrade all of our septic system and everything, but this guy didn't even pull a permit to do anything. And he's got a brand new place that he's going to rent for, I don't know, 2,000-3,000 a week. So there has to be some type of regulation and ordinances put into place to protect the neighbors, like you said, who live there. I don't live there full time, but I hope to very soon. And it is a little concerning that the people across the road, we're never going to know who they are. Like you said, you don't know their criminal history. You don't know. I mean, it's shocking enough it is to look up on the sex offender list for the people in our neighborhood now. And there's quite a few in Gerrish Township, but at least you know who they are. These people that are coming in renting, you have no idea.
Going on 4 minutes.
All right, very good.
That's
Lori,
it.
thank you. I appreciate you waiting long enough to take that turn. And we'll go back inside the room. There's 2 more hands that pop up that I don't recognize, people that have already had a bite of the apple, if you will. So let's go to the back there. I saw that gentleman pop it up first. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Absolutely.
My name is Mark Carney. I'm a property owner. I do not rent my property. I don't own rental property. I'm not opposed to rental properties, but I do feel they need to be limited and controlled. And I want to share an experience that I had this summer that ties in with the gentleman from Scotch Pine. There are so many people using the public road end at the end of Scotch Pine, which is 2 houses away from mine, that the public dock that is there was literally being overwhelmed. It got to the point where the vertical supports for the dock were leaning probably 30 degrees towards the lake, all of them. I was very concerned about the dock collapsing with too many people on it. And I think it's because of how many rentals there are within our area. I'm okay with some rentals. I'm not okay with unlimited numbers of rentals. If that dock would have collapsed, somebody would have been seriously injured. I called the police department, Gerrish Township, and asked them to come out and look at it. They obviously agreed. They put caution tape up, and within a couple of days, the problem was resolved. But if I hadn't called, somebody would have been hurt significantly. So limiting to 0, I don't think is realistic, but allowing unlimited numbers.
I said my piece, and Debbie goes, "Thanks, brave soul." Like, well,
I'm sorry you got interrupted.
That's okay,
there, sir.
That's
Go
okay.
ahead. Go ahead and finish.
So I do believe it's a safety issue. I don't think it's realistic to say that there cannot be any because of some reasons we've heard tonight.
Sure.
But it needs to be controlled and restricted.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have somebody on Zoom. What do we have? Sharon Buckman. You have the floor.
Can you hear me?
We hear you now.
All right. Okay. I couldn't figure out how to raise my hand, so she helped me. A lot of things have already been said, and this has been a great meeting. Something someone said a few people back was about maybe limiting it to, I think she suggested or he suggested 30 days out of the year. That might be something to consider because that way it doesn't turn it into a business. but an opportunity. Like I had to get a new roof last summer. We've had the cottage in our family since the 1950s, and my 7 siblings and I enjoy using it, but it's my responsibility to keep it in the family at this point. So, so I just thought that might be an idea. Then it's not a business and a residential, but you have an opportunity to pay your taxes and unexpected big expenses, and which is what probably most people are trying to do. And then the other thing was, my understanding is you're trying to push this through really quickly, and I was wondering, why does it have to be a decision made so quick? I mean, we're booking our summer renter. I mean, my renter in the summer, and I only do like about 4 weeks out of the year. They so look forward to it. I love it when I can meet with them when they come, because they're just so excited to have their week at the lake. And they're people that can't own a cottage, and to share it with people really brings me some satisfaction too. So hard to move out in the summer for a little bit, but anyways, my main thought was, well, maybe it doesn't have to be all or nothing, with how much people are renting it out. So that's probably a complicated situation.
Thank you, Sharon.
Okay.
All right. And then now back into the room here, we have a young lady that keeps trying to stand up so I can see her. That's you. Come on up. I do every day.
My name's Donna Bavarskis. Oh, I don't know. And
Bavarska.
Bavarskis.
Bavar.
Bavarskis.
Okay.
Yep. Easier to spell than it sounds.
Common spelling, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Short-term rentals may seem harmless, but their impacts on communities are real and growing, especially on infrastructure we depend on every day. First, short-term rentals disrupt neighborhood stability. Constant turnover of guests increases noise, traffic, and rule violations. Guests are often unfamiliar, and I might add uninterested, in abiding to local norms such as quiet hours, parking rules, and trash or recycling systems. They also don't participate in many local neighborhood duties, events, and processes, which impacts a board's and a community's local planning, whether short-term or long-term planning. Second, neighborhoods designed for local living start to look and function more like commercialized hotel districts. Short-term owners sometimes prioritize renters' needs over local community needs, and local services may shift toward visitors rather than residents. I have seen this firsthand in the increase in rentals of golf carts, side-by-sides, ATVs, etc. This in turn has a direct impact on our safety, roads, and puts added pressure on law enforcement because visitors often don't know the laws of the area regarding these machines. And make no mistake, anonymity, which tenants enjoy, breeds a disconnection and a disregard for local people, places, and laws. Renters may visit this community once in their lifetime, so there's a little loyalty or respect of the area. Third, short-term rentals put an added strain on residential infrastructure, including but not limited to trash collection, parking, public safety, and public areas such as local and state parks. One of the most significant impacts of short-term rentals is its effects on our septic systems. Septic systems are designed for consistent residential use, not high occupancy, high turnover stays. Bathrooms are used the same by everybody, that's true. But they aren't designed, and the septic systems aren't designed for the turnover that happens with these short-term rentals. Large groups of tenants mean more water use, more showers, laundry, and wastewater. Even municipal sewer systems face increased maintenance and treatment costs that local taxpayers like myself, not tenants and not the rental owners, absorb. Yes, short-term rental owners do pay property taxes, but the added stress they have nothing to do with, and they're not responsible for it. Subsequently, short-term owners enjoy the private profits of their business without contributing their fair share to these increased costs locals must bear. With short-term rental owners, they don't pay their fair share of their profits from their business. And make no mistake, short-term rentals are a commercial business, and as such, if allowed to continue, should perhaps be required to pay a lodging tax or a resort tax like hotels charge, which should then go towards the added burden on the community infrastructure. Reasonable limits and enforcement of these short-term rentals are necessary to protect systems and services that were never designed to function as commercial lodging.
You're at 3.5.
Which, let's be honest and transparent, they are. And speaking of enforcement, all the drafts and the final ordinance that will be enacted will not be worth the paper it's written on if these violations are left unchecked. The burden should not be solely placed on our police department or local residents to enforce these violations. The township should hire someone to keep a close eye on the short-term rentals that cause problems, and I know they all don't.
You're at 4 minutes.
Short-term rentals don't just change the homes themselves, they change how the neighborhood feels. When homes turn into revolving doors for strangers who have zero loyalty to the area, communities lose the familiar faces that create trust and belonging. Neighbors stop greeting and knowing each other. Streets feel quieter and less connected. Renters don't look out for those around them because they're here once and possibly never again. What was once a place to call home starts to feel temporary, like no one is really staying long enough to care about the beautiful, popular, and well-known lake. In losing long-term neighbors and replacing them with people just passing through, we lose the heart of the community itself. Finally, although there may tonight have been people that describe their tenants as extended families who cause
That's
no
5 minutes.
problems,
You're done.
my family has seen the opposite. And I guess I wonder how there can be such a
I'm
contrast
sorry,
in
that's 5 minutes. You're
descriptions.
done.
I also wonder how the short-term rental owners can say there are no problems when they aren't in the home that's been rented. We live here and we have personally seen trespassing, excessive noise, loose dogs, because people think they're up north and anything.
Okay, Donna, we're going to have to cut you there. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, we have one on Zoom. Okay. You have Paige. What's her name? You know, she's just Paige.
Hi, it's Paige Rushing.
Paige. Okay.
Okay. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to
Paige,
speak.
hang on
go ahead.
before I give you the floor there. I need to find, we need to give some information to our IT person regarding an email of some
okay.
nature. Okay. We got her now. Paige, you have the floor now. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Paige Rushing, and I'm a local resident of Gerrish Township and business owner whose livelihood depends heavily on short-term rentals. I am not an out-of-area investor or a corporation. I live here, work here, and spend my money here. I own and operate a local business that specializes in servicing short-term rentals. The properties I work with are well-regulated, owner-managed, and compliant with local rules. And my clients take their responsibilities seriously. These rentals do not generate ongoing issues, and when concerns arise, they are addressed quickly because owners are local and accountable. The income from this work allows me to support my family, pay local taxes, and remain rooted in this community. A ban on short-term rentals would directly eliminate a significant portion of my income and threaten the survival of my business. This would also impact my husband, who owns a storefront business here in Gerrish Township. Short-term rental guests support local businesses, restaurants, shops, gas stations, and service providers. Fewer visitors means fewer customers, which directly harms small storefronts like his that rely on steady foot traffic to stay open. For my family, the consequences are personal. The income generated by short-term rentals helps us maintain financial stability and continue contributing to the local economy. A ban would create hardship for responsible local families while failing to distinguish between well-managed rentals and problem properties. I understand the desire to protect housing and neighborhood character. However, an outright ban penalizes responsible owners who already follow regulations. Reasonable enforcement and thoughtful regulation would address concerns without destroying local livelihoods. I respectfully ask the township to consider the real impact on local families and businesses and to work with residents towards solutions that balance community needs with economic reality. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Paige. Appreciate that. You have a hand over there. She's from Zoom. Do you have another one? Is that what you're saying? Okay. How many do you have? Okay. Is there anybody else in the room? Okay. The lady closest to me. I don't recognize you already having a bite of that apple, so come on up. Good evening. You have the floor.
Thank you. Okay, my name is Georgia Buck. I do own a local cleaning business here. So people they don't even own STRs. They don't have any clue of STRs. Not all STRs are bad. I've been doing this for quite some time. I don't only do it in this township. I live out of Houghton Lake. I service St. Helen. I service Roscommon. I service Houghton Lake. I service Prudenville. I've even went to Gladwin. So for all these people that want to say STRs are bad, that's not true. That's not true at all. I mean, I've never had any issues at all. Most of the neighbors are good with my homeowners. One of my homeowners is Tara. She was a call-in. She was unable to make it. I have been with her since she started this home. We've never had trouble out of her home. Most of these neighbors have my number because, yes, and these homeowners are not always here. They're out of state. They have family. They have, their income. They have business elsewhere. My business is here. My family is here. These local businesses, let's talk. If we shut down STRs, what we're going to lose? We're going to lose cleaners. We're going to lose families. We're going to lose the local businesses that the STR families and people bring in here. We need the income. Not everybody is bad. We have locals that live here that are bad. Are we trying to ban them? Nope, sure not. Why not? It's no different than these STRs. When you ban our local business, you're banning every local business. So you're asking for more empty buildings because when we don't have business around here, you're losing us. We have to move. We have to live elsewhere. We have a family to take care of. I'm not saying there shouldn't be rules and regulations. Most homeowners already have those. Most people obey by them. If they don't, neighbors have numbers. I know it's not up to the neighbors to call. Most neighbors get along with their STR homeowners. I get along with the majority of my neighbors in these communities that I do cleaning for. But to ban this, it's ridiculous. We don't have enough hotels. We don't have enough motels around here. So you're losing local business. You're losing, I'm sorry, they're locals. They're locals. We get a lot of them that keep coming back and they do respect this town. Not everybody are disrespectful idiots. It's not a party house. I don't know why everybody thinks that. We go by ratings. Every business goes by ratings. These people that rent these STRs, they go through ratings. If they're bad, people are going to write that down. It's going to be seen. It's going to be known. The next person isn't going to want to rent. We don't know what background they go through, but I'm sure that they do. But to ban and make your locals that live here and contribute to lose everything, do you really want to lose all of us? Because it's a lot of business you're going to lose. It's a lot of children you're going to put out on the street, a lot of family you're putting out on the street. Don't just disregard STRs. You're disregarding what you call your family in this community. That bottom line is what you are doing.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Zoom. Wendy Leopold, the floor is yours.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great, I can hear you. Thank you so much for this meeting. I'm a lakefront property owner. We've had the cottage since the home since 1937. I've been there off and on all my life. I plan on retiring in Gerrish Township. It's the only place I want to be. I'm 72 years old. I do short-term rentals a few weeks a year only. I try to be home whenever I can. Unfortunately, I work out of state. I'm semi-retired, but for income reasons, I can't always be there when I want to be there. I would have, I turned down many more renters than I have. Sitting and listening to what people are going through that are having issues with short-term renters and trying to feel, if I were in their shoes, how I would feel, I actually feel awful. I want to be able to have short-term rentals, whether I had them for myself or not. I think as society evolves and things are changing, I think it's kind of the way things are going. I think it brings money to the community economically. On the other hand, it's not working the way it is right now. I'm totally in favor of finding a way, even if we could try like a pilot plan where Gerrish could work with all of us and see and really learn what's working, what's not working, and all of us could come together and try to fix this. And then maybe in a few years see, okay, here's where we are now. How can we do this the right way? And then maybe, is it possible ever? I understand there's a difference between, I don't totally understand it, but something about the police power ordinance versus changing zoning. Maybe at some point down the road, if we could fix some of these issues, maybe the majority of Gerrish Township, if we voted on it, would want to change the zoning, or maybe we could do this in a way that worked.
Not the way it works.
Maybe that if it's not the way it works, maybe I don't know enough about the law. All I know is from me where I'm sitting, I don't want my neighbors to be upset. I am so concerned about anyone that stays at my property, even if it's only a few weeks a year. I don't want a problem ever. And I want my neighbors to be comfortable. And I know that's not what's happening at Higgins Lake. I know there's a lot of issues. So although I'm in favor of short-term renters and I need it in order to keep my home, that I'm 72, I don't want to lose it. On the other hand, I want the residents of Higgins Lake and Gerrish Township to be more comfortable. And I feel like it's not working. And I feel like ordinances or rules, or there's got to be a way to fix it that could make it better for everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wendy. Appreciate you hanging around to make the comment there.
Thank you.
Anybody else on Zoom over there, Amanda? None. You said you had somebody that could have a comment, but I think they may have gotten up and gave it. All right. Very, very good. Gentleman in the back, you haven't been up here once, have you? Then come on up. Well, okay. Very good. Very good. Hey, now listen, I offered everybody in the back a chair. You could have come up.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, you can leave that. But have the clerk, sure.
Right here.
Absolutely, sure. Thank you.
Please state your name.
Yep, absolutely. Good evening. Appreciate the opportunity to meet with you. My name's Corey Bonsack. I am a Lyon Township resident. My wife Sarah works here for Gerrish Township as an EMT. We are the owners of Stillwater Property Management, a locally loaned, operated, licensed property management operation here at Higgins Lake. We manage a number of waterfront vacation rental properties in both Gerrish and Lyon Township on behalf of other owners. We personally do not own any vacation rentals ourselves. I also am a licensed associate real estate broker with Next Home Up North. We've served the Higgins Lake community in the real estate and property management function and capacity for over 10 years here. We want to thank you for all the work that you put into this so far and getting to this point with the draft. Our position is simple and straightforward. We have strong support for the health and safety focused and renting responsibly licensing program, and a strong opposition to the ordinance language that sunsets all short-term rental licenses at the end of 2029. We have handed and provided you this evening our fully comprehensive research and complete official position statements, but I have limited time to address you this evening. I cannot read through everything that I have there. So I hope you take the time to read through it. What we provided you in its entirety in the packet, you'll find much more detail on our position, specifically and more thoroughly outlined with references, resources, and citations. It is our official position, not whether you can regulate short-term rentals. You absolutely have the authority and position to do that. It's within your capacity. It's your prerogative. It's whether you should and whether you're acting in the correct manner, following the Zoning Enabling Act, following the correct process and procedure, setting forth the mechanisms for the township to oversee and enforce compliance in a rightful manner. Our position is not to defend every short-term rental. There certainly are current operators for various reasons that are a detriment to our community and who should not be in business at all. But they are not the exception, or they are the exception. They're not the norm.
They're not the rule.
Yeah, they're outliers. Most of the short-term rental operators and the renters here they abide and they respect the community. And our points of agreement with your draft. The short-term rental draft is progressing in the right direction on the operational issues that actually harm neighbors in the community. We support licensing, inspections, occupancy tied to bedroom count, septic and well compliance, fire safety basics, quiet hours, parking rules, real enforcement tools that remove repeat bad actors and offenders. All the basic components of renting responsibly in our community. We also support the requirement for a locally available responsible person, but rigorously recommend replacing the term local agent with a designated local contact. Local agent implies licensure through the state occupational code with the state of Michigan. What you have designed in your ordinance does not require licensure to be a point of contact. So we request that you analyze that and change that language out.
Say that again, designated what?
Designated local contact. That's all you're asking for.
Instead of agent.
Agent implies
Reference of
licensure
Licensure.
and fiduciary duties. Correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Surprised our attorney didn't catch that.
I am surprised too. I'm surprised the two other ordinances that were passed in the county, their attorney didn't catch it either. There's two active ordinances with it in there. Yeah, I was at Lyon Township's meeting last night, and in their draft, they have it listed as local contact, and I appreciated they did their homework there.
Yeah.
Our points of dissent. So Section 5 functions as a phase out that drives licenses to zero by the end of 2029. This is not a regulation, it's an elimination. For the greater good, betterment, sustainability of the community, we urge the board to remove the sunset provision and replace it with a durable cap, plus a public review mechanism based on real data, and adding in the missing component to dispersion measures to prevent overconcentration and pocketing on a single road, block, or in a particular subdivision or neighborhood. You can certainly see that going on. If you go on Airbnb or VRBO and look at the map, you can see it.
You're 3.5.
We are, residents here ourselves. We're in the business. I would certainly not want to come home every evening to being surrounded by vacation rentals. We're requesting a balanced ordinance, regulate thoroughly, enforce consistently, cap and disperse intelligently, keep compliant rent responsibly operators in business, and work towards encouraging those that don't belong in the space to get out while removing the sunset that eliminates the category entirely. Thank you again for your time this evening. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you. Zoom? Nothing Zoom. One more in the back. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Derek Vansel. I've been coming to Higgins Lake for over 30 years. My wife and I were fortunate enough to purchase our home in Gerrish Township in 2020, and we became full-time residents last summer. I'm a small business owner, a licensed residential builder operating a local handyman business. And this ordinance would adversely impact my business, my family, and I believe my community. I understand the desire to protect homes, homeowners, neighborhoods, and the sense of community we aspire to. My concern is whether this ordinance addresses the right issues and whether its consequences have been fully considered. The phase out of all short-term rental licenses to zero, whatever one's view of short-term rentals, that provision is not regulation. It is a planned elimination of a lawful use. The other section, 5E, is written, appears to prohibit properties with a principal residence exemption from being eligible for a short-term rental license at all. Year-round residents are categorically excluded. Full-time residency alone becomes a disqualifier. One concern often raised, tonight we've heard it several times in discussions about short-term rentals, is noise or nuisance behavior. Gerrish Township already has noise and nuisance ordinances. Noise, parking, fireworks, trash, disorderly conduct are enforcement issues. Eliminating short-term rentals does not directly address nuisance behavior. Enforcing existing ordinances does. I also want to address property values in the local economy. In destination communities like Gerrish Township, the ability to rent short-term is often part of buyer expectations, even for owners who never intend to use it. When that option is restricted or made uncertain, property values adjust downward. Markets price risk quickly, especially when licenses are non-transferable or sunset to zero. Gerrish Township isn't occupied the same way everywhere or in every season. In places where homes are not consistently occupied during the work week or throughout the year, short-term rentals convert otherwise unused time into weekday and shoulder season economic activity that supports local workers and small businesses like mine. Empty homes generate no economic activity. Occupied homes do. I respectfully ask the board to reconsider whether eliminating short-term rentals through licensing is appropriate when existing ordinances already address nuisance behavior and when the economic and property value consequences are real and predictable. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
So proud of this group. I'm so proud of this group.
No, I know. It's very, very nice. Anything on film. All right, folks. One last hand. Mr. Fry.
Too long.
Yeah, the floor is yours.
I'll be very quick. I'm the president of the Higgins Lake Land Conservancy, and I'd just like to read a little bit of the Higgins Lake Land Conservancy newsletter we sent out in December. The Higgins Lake Land Conservancy is encouraged that Gerrish Township has decided to address the short-term rental issue and has drafted a proposed ordinance to define the parameters of the licensure program. The draft, we know, was vetted by Township Attorney Scott Hess. This proposed ordinance includes many of the elements the Land Conservancy has championed in its position paper on short-term rentals, including limiting guests based on the number of bedrooms and parking issues. The Conservancy is encouraged that this issue that causes interruption of the peaceful enjoyment of the properties zoned R1 single-family residence is finally being addressed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Come on up. I don't recognize you from before, so your first bite of the apple.
Teresa Bertle Korn.
Oh, Teresa.
Hi.
Floor is yours.
Yeah, my credentials are 4 generations. I'm not sure if April's family came first or mine. Herman Bertle Sr. was a blacksmith here and one of the first presidents of the village of Roscommon. Yep. Uncle Fritz Bertle had the Chevrolet dealership and Grandpa Bertle had the Ford. So anyway, 4 generations. I just want to say in summary, I've sat here and listened to everybody, and what I've heard tonight is that short-term rentals support tourism to come and enjoy the lake and enjoy our area. Accommodating seasonal or short-term visitors is the business of motels, hotels, lodges, resorts. That's what they do. And these businesses are located in commercial zones, not residential neighborhoods. We need to focus on maybe rebuilding the Spruce Lodge that's been sitting there, or building some new resort areas. Let's not turn our residential neighborhoods into commercial hotels. I've also heard tonight that STRs employ local people with additional and new motels, hotels, lodges, and resorts. They'll employ even more people, maintenance workers, housekeepers, snow shovelers, and others. And the guests will be patrons of the local restaurants, gas stations, and the gift shops. I've also heard tonight that STRs help the homeowners pay their property taxes. And it's simple Finance 101. If you have to rent out your home strictly to pay property taxes, you're overextended. I've worked hard and saved and was blessed this spring to buy on the lakefront. And I did not know I was moving into a rental area. The house next door to me rents for $14,000 a week. Not $1,400, $14,000 a week. In order to pay this, several families, 3, 4, 5 families get together, and it's just a circus. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Teresa, appreciate your sharing. All right. I think we're pretty well set.
Cold at all.
I do want to, whoops, one more. No, you already had a shot.
Oh.
Okay.
What has totally driven this and why, and the fact that you utilize to support your proposal?
We're talking about data. The only reason why this, obviously, everybody waited for a long time to see what short-term rentals were defined in the courts. And in 2023, the courts defined and said that the state didn't want any part to do with it. And the state said clearly it could be zoned within, or it could be housed within that zoning. And so at that point, everybody here, and I know this because I talked to the previous supervisor, and there was, as a police chief, that was always, let's let somebody else go through the lawsuit and figure out where this is going to go. And so that was when that happened, and it has been a topic. This isn't anything that cropped up yesterday. This has been a topic in this township for a great many years, actually, but and all waiting, if you will, to see, do you have a legal seat at the table, meaning the township? And the court was clear and said that indeed you do, and that indeed it also said that that commercial in the residential was exactly how they defined it as, is the definition of commercial, a short-term rental, a specific short-term rental case. And so that's why I can tell you, for me, I said, okay, well, let's start talking about it. Let's see, again, explore what can we do to help this issue. I'm afraid people are walking away with the thought that this is all driven by 2%, I should say, and a specific number of residences causing problems. That's not the issue at all. The issue is commercial and residential. How do you re-corral, if you will, what got out of the gate, basically? And do you immediately say, no, we're just not allowing any commercial and residential? Well, that seems to be arbitrary, not fair, when you look at that. And so the board started to meet on this back last year. And somebody saw my eyes go up, and somebody said it's been rushed. It isn't. The discussion hasn't been rushed. It's been, we're still plunking along. This is in draft A4, okay? And I wanted to make sure we got a public hearing to hear all of this tonight. And every time, and I've said this in other meetings, every time, Mr. Trudeau sitting back there. Mr. Trudeau, I use him as my flagship, if you will, there. That we weren't looking at, what if your deed says you can't do that? It's literally in your deed. And I wasn't even aware that there were deeds that had that. And then Mr. Trudeau, I asked him to forward me one or get me one, and he did. So there's another issue you don't think about. So every time you talk to people, every time you hear people, I myself am I didn't come in here with any foregone conclusion at all. This is just kind of a totality of trying to put everything together, and then how do we best do something for Higgins Lake? Doing nothing, I don't think is an action. I'm going to say that for myself. You got to do something. You can't do nothing, but you got to be reasonable, and we've got to figure out what that reasonability is. And then at the same time, we all think we know what we're talking about. We all think we know the law. Then it gets reviewed, and then I get emails back from my township attorney that tells me that's not quite how we understood it. And so we're kind of learning as we go here. So that's what tonight was about. A police powers ordinance does not require a public hearing by law. We wanted to have one specifically, and I wanted to hear people tonight. I didn't want to hear all of us talking tonight. That's why, as we close out tonight, I will tell you that on January 16th, which is 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday, the board is going to, you'll hear us kind of parsing out everything we've heard. I'm not just me, got to get over all of these documents, if you will, there. And a lot of work to do between now and then to have us have great discussion with our fellow board members. I do not know what every one of my board members thinks about every one of the issues. As much as one might think there's a lot going on behind closed doors, you are sadly mistaken. So at the end of the day, that is where our next meeting will be. We do have a meeting on Thursday. We have no intentions of talking about, passing through, doing anything at our regular meeting or at our work session this month. We have a January 16th, which is a Friday at 1, that's just dedicated to nothing but, again, this important issue of short-term rental. And we can reflect, I guess, on the things that we've heard tonight. That's what I've been doing, is kind of, shall we say, somewhat keeping score over here, what I think I'm hearing in the identifying of issues. And then, of course, when we got draft A4 back, we had questions with some of the language. It went in with one thing, came back with another, and I think something got lost in interpretation. But we needed a document. We needed to stop. You can't just produce draft after draft after draft. We needed something to say, okay, people, point it out to us. Point it out to us. What did you like? What didn't you like? What are the issues? What did you see? Where are we at? And so that's where we've been. You do see there's some dates that are stuck in there. Mostly so as, oh, geez, it would be nice if we could get something started soon. The community's been looking at this for years, but it's not that, from this board member, it's not that I feel like it's got to be done tomorrow, but we do need to continue. We do need to explore, and we need to look at more of these things that have been said tonight. So on behalf of the board, that's where we stand. If you're dying to just sit and listen to us on January 16th, please come.
YouTube.
Or Zoom, or you can YouTube it afterwards. These are all recorded in YouTube. On here, I want to close tonight before I call for a motion to close this. I want to thank everybody tonight. I have been in the township for a very long time, like everybody else has. I have seen some awful behavior in public meetings, and I want to congratulate all of you and give you my respect back that we've allowed everybody to have. We stated your comments, whether everybody agreed or didn't agree. We didn't chide anybody, so thank you. I mean, when I come to these, I get anxiety ridden. I've seen some of them in the past. I also was a school board president that closed the school, and yeah, it was bad. So thank you on behalf of the board. And I would at this time then entertain a motion for the board to exit the public hearing at 8:14? Got that right? 8:14? Safe travels, folks. I'm looking at the clock back there. What do you got? All right. Do I have a motion?
Yeah.
Made by trustee. All right. Supported. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Thank you. We appreciate it.